lots of rain, a 2-hour delay.
Into the second quarter. Notre Dame up 3-0.
And a few hot dogs.
1st and 10 for Notre Dame. And a big hitter.
It was a very good, tasty hot dog.
The Hollywood story out there that, Audric had a hot dog and went out and ran a 70-yard touchdown.
Audric Estime's going to go the distance.
But the reality is that we did have a good plan for that postponement.
Another lightning bolt here at Carter Finley Stadium.
The Irish took command against NC State, scoring more than 40 points on the road.
We knew it was going to be a dogfight.
We have like a swagger about ourselves right now. We know we can compete with anybody right now.
Today, the Irish are back home in the house that Rockne built, ready to take on the Central Michigan Chippewas for the first time.
To me, every game is its own bingo board. If you have poor eye discipline, they're going to burn you.
This is ABC57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, with your hosts Allison Hayes and Vahid Sabrazadeh.
It is game day on the campus of Notre Dame. The grills are smoking, the drinks are flowing. The Irish hosting the Central Michigan Chippewas. It's a 2:30 kickoff inside the house that Rockne built. Welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff live in front of Purcell Pavilion on the campus of Notre Dame. I'm Allison Hayes.
And I'm Vahid Sabrazadeh. Listen, it worked for Audric Estime last week. Cheers, my friend. It is going to be a good week of hot dogs and brats and all types of good juju you can have going into this CMU game.
If it's good enough for Audric Estime, it's good enough for us.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling it. Let's go.
It's going to be a good game today. I think the Irish should handily take care of things, but you don't want to look too far ahead as you go into Ohio State week next
That's
week.
right. One final tune-up. And Coach Marcus Freeman, he touched on it this week. He's like, it's in our nature to look ahead. He's like, I even look ahead, and they've got to be disciplined, and that's something I think that Freeman has shown with this team so far this season. They do have much more focus and just almost maturity, I feel like, in this group. So I don't think they'll get caught up in that, but we'll see.
3-0. They're
That's
undefeated
right.
still. That's all that matters. Well, they enter the game undefeated today, ranked 9th in the AP poll, 11th in the coaches poll. The Irish got off to a slow start somewhat last week at North Carolina State, but once they got going, they were clearly, Allison, the better team.
Yeah, that's right. Notre Dame is a heavy favorite over the Chips today, 34.5 points.
Central Michigan beat New Hampshire at home last week, 45-42, but lost their season opener at Michigan State after struggling on both sides of the ball. The Chippewas have lost 3 straight against Power 5 opponents. Notre Dame certainly expected to get the W today, but can they continue to dominate on both sides of the ball? They've outscored their opponents 143-30. That's the highest point total through the first 3 games since 1943. Right now, they are ranked in the top 10 in the country in total defense.
Yeah, so now ABC 57 Kickoffs, Levon Whitaker. He is live outside of Notre Dame Stadium with what made the Irish defense so successful early on this season. Hey, Levon.
Yeah, Allison and Vahid, the experience goes a long way for this Notre Dame defense, for both the players and the coaches. But first and foremost, defensive coordinator Al Golden says that experience simply allows his guys to play faster.
I think we're playing fast right now.
Fast. That one word defining success for the Irish defense.
Coach, why are they playing so fast and why are they playing so aggressive? Because there's clarity. They know what they're doing, they know why they're doing it, they know how they're doing it, and they're playing violent.
Notre Dame's 7th-ranked defense is causing havoc with 5 interceptions, 12 pass breakups, and 18 quarterback hurries. And the proof is in the pudding for players like fifth-year linebacker Mayes Leofau.
What you're seeing this year is a guy that truly understands the defense, understands the details, so now he has velocity. We say clarity equals velocity.
Leofau and the starting linebackers racking up 44 tackles so far this season, but production doesn't stop there. Every level of this Irish defense is eating. The defensive backs finished with 3 interceptions at NC State.
3 interceptions is huge, and our offense ended up scoring 14 points off of those 3 interceptions.
What our defense was able to do, not only in creating havoc, turnovers, but also doing that in their side of the field.
But despite their early success, the Irish still have some work to do to reach the golden standard.
We're still disappointed. We're among the leaders in forced fumbles, right? But we haven't recovered any, I don't think.
That's a fact. 5 forced fumbles, but no recoveries.
If we want to be a great defense, then we can't have 3 penalties, one of them being a personal foul. I think one was a hands to the face and one was a defensive holding.
But even bad penalties haven't stopped the momentum of this defense.
Like we have like a swagger about ourselves right now. Like we're feeling ourselves like we know we can compete with anybody right now. And that's like we feed off that.
Well, Howard Cross has come through like a wrecking ball on that defensive line. He's second on the team with 15 tackles. He credits his early success this season to his success last year against Ohio State in the first game of the season where he sacked quarterback C.J. Stroud, who's now with the Houston Texans. He says since then it's all been mental, knowing that he can and will be successful at his job, and it's clearly playing off right now. Live outside of Notre Dame Stadium, I'm Levon Whitaker, ABC 57 Kickoff.
Levon, talking about this defense, what about up front? You know, what is Marcus Freeman, what is Al Golden saying about that group up front? How are they going to put pressure on these quarterbacks?
Well, I think, you know, when you have guys like Jordan Botello and you have Javonte Jean-Baptiste on the other end, it makes it very easy for a guy like Howard Cross to really get through the interior of an offensive line. He's working pretty hard, and you can't forget guys like Jason Anye and Nana Osafo-Mensah. So they're saying that these guys are young, but they're hungry and they have the experience that they got last year with guys like Isaiah Foskey. So we look forward to seeing a very disruptive defensive line throughout the rest of the season. They're going to need it because the linebackers, they're experienced as well, but they can only do so much. They need that entire front seven to be disruptive and cause havoc.
Absolutely. All right, Levon, we'll check back in with you in just a little bit. On the other side of the ball, quarterback Sam Hartman battled the elements and a slow start at NC State, finishing the day with 286 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. But Hartman was sacked 4 times by the Wolfpack, his first sacks in a Notre Dame uniform.
Am I worried? Not really. Listen, I've been on the Hartman for Heisman bandwagon since the season started, and I'm still on the bandwagon. I don't think he's going to play more than a half today. Just to get tuned up, you don't want him to get injured, obviously.
He better not play more than a half today.
But I think he's in a good place. You know, he had some of the jitters last week. He got past NC State, which is the team he's had problems with. I think I'm still on that bandwagon.
I know this is outrageous that they're not going to do it, but I mean, do you almost consider, like, in a game like this, starting Angeli and just letting him be the guy for a game? Don't let him have a lead. And then if you needed to, bring Sam in to get them back on track. But let Angeli be the starter against a team that they should, in theory, mop up with.
If I'm the head coach of Notre Dame, which clearly I'm not or never will be, but absolutely not. I think you bring Hartman in, get him some reps, then get him the heck out of the game, and get your running backs.
Ooh, we just saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers. That was 4 plays into the game, and he's done. And the idea of Sam Hartman getting hurt is just terrifying to me.
I think he'll last a half, and then they'll have him call plays on the sidelines. The Irish tight ends had a breakout game. Holden Stays, that's going to be a household name, had 4 catches for 115 yards, 2 TDs. And Davis Sherwood also added a touchdown, complete with my favorite end zone celebration of the year. Check it out. He's hanging up the phone, dialed in. His brother put him up to that, by the way.
I love that celebration. That's pretty cool. You said that's like an ongoing thing, right now in college football and NFL?
So college football, it started in tennis, actually.
Oh, that's right, the U.S. Open.
It started at the U.S. Open a couple weeks ago, and the guy who was hot, the teenager who was hot from the United States, he did that a couple times. And then Djokovic, when he beat him, he did that to him. And now the college
Everybody's
players,
doing it.
I'm doing it now. Hang it up. Absolutely. The party is just getting started here on ABC 57 Kickoff. Up next, weekday sports meet host Darin Pritchett joins us live.
That's right. But first, here's a sneak peek at what's to come throughout the show.
Hartman for Heisman? What does the Irish quarterback think of all the hype?
Those guys going to war for me.
Varsity Brews.
At like 11 or midnight, we've decided it's never been a bad idea to have an extra pizza.
Former Notre Dame quarterback Evan Sharpley joins us live to talk about his podcast with Vahid and this Irish team. Plus, Freeman's Focus.
For us to overlook any opponent would be just crazy.
What challenges the Irish may face from this Central Michigan team. And Fuel the Fight. how cooking in the kitchen is helping the Irish on the football field.
They were completely shocked. They were like, oh my God, we can learn how to cook.
Plus, former Notre Dame and NFL wide receiver Derrick Mayes joins us live on the ABC57 Kickoff set.
What's happening here?
The 9th-ranked Irish getting ready to take on Central Michigan for the first time on the football field. Notre Dame scheduled this game back in 2021, the year before Brian Kelly, who left for LSU. Kelly coached the Chippewas from 2004 to 2006.
There's a little bit of a connection there with the old BK, but
Right.
We are joined now by the host of Weekday Sports Beat on 960 AM, Darin Pritchett. We've had so much fun together this season. I've joined you now on Tuesdays from 5 to 6, and I get to kind of flip the script on you, and we get to ask you some questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, let's start about college football in general. Expectations, and here expectations for a moment. The SEC down by standards. Georgia's Georgia, and a few teams have a shot in the Big Ten. But because the landscape of college football and the parity that's happening, is the expectation now ratcheted up for Marcus Freeman this year, especially since they lost 4 games last year?
Yeah, those 4 games they lost last year, not having a quarterback to win those big games really hurt them. Well, he's got one now, doesn't he? So, yeah, I think they do ratchet up the expectations. The SEC looks vulnerable right now. You're right. With LSU and Alabama with a loss already, they're going to play each other. One of those is going to get knocked out. So there is a path for Notre Dame right now to be a playoff contender. Now, they got to take care of their business, but it is interesting to see how there is an interesting path for this football team right now.
A lot of parity in college football.
Absolutely, and like you said, the door is kind of open for some of these other teams to take a step and make some step forward in getting other conferences in there. Now, we talked this week about the assessment of Jared Parker, the new offensive coordinator at Notre Dame. Seen some good things, seen him growing and developing. What are your thoughts on the job that he's doing so far for Notre Dame?
Well, first off, I think he is very quick to make adjustments. After the weather delay against North Carolina State, came out with the unbalanced line, which led to Audric Estime going 80 yards for a touchdown. NC State wasn't ready for that. They didn't fit that running play, and Audric was off to the races, and I think that changed the complexion of the football game. That kick-started the Irish offense. I love how he's using play action, and unlike the former offensive coordinator, he'll use the middle of the field more. So I think this has the chance to be a much more dynamic offense. Of course, when you got a guy like Sam Hartman, that's step number 1.
Absolutely.
On the flip side of the ball, Al Golden and that defense. You know, Levon touched on it earlier today. How do you think that defense is adjusting now, second year under Al Golden?
That's the key, second year. They understand the defense. They know the checks now. I almost like to say they're not thinking anymore. They're just reacting. And when you are just reacting, you play faster. And, guys, they played really fast against NC State. I love the blitz packages. The coaching staff knows they've got 4 corners they believe in. And when you've got corners that can cover and man, you can bring blitz packages, and Al Golden showed us a lot of blitz packages. They didn't get the sacks, but that helped to create 3 turnovers in that ball game.
If you had an area of criticism or where you feel like this defense needs to see some improvement still, where would you say?
You'd love to see the front 4 get pass rush on their own. Blitzing is great, but you can also get burned by the opposition when you blitz. So if that front 4 can start to put on a little pressure. Marcus Freeman says he sees it in practice. I'm going to believe him on that. But it is good to know they do have the blitz package to get pressure. But, yeah, if you can put pressure on that front 4, with that front 4, you're going to be in really, really good shape.
Well, speaking of Marcus Freeman, every week he announces a player of the week. And every week we have a different player that's emerging. David Sherwood this week or, whatever it is. If you had to pick a difference maker for this Notre Dame team, one guy on this roster other than Sam Hartman, who could they not win without?
Well, I guess we'll find out today about the importance of J.D. Bertrand since he's out with a concussion, but I got to go with Joe Alt. This is the guy that's going to be probably a top 10 pick in next year's draft. When you see the Pro Football Focus, who's the best offensive lineman in the country, Joe Alt always comes up. So he's your starting left tackle. He provides the protection on the backside of Sam Hartman. And I'm not saying the left tackle that is the backup isn't qualified, but there is a major drop-off. I mean, this kid is amazing. Not bad for just a little old 3-star coming out of high school.
That's right.
There's not been, I think, a lot of conversation necessarily about the offensive line. Your thoughts on giving up those 4 sacks last week against NC State?
I think it's a learning process. We thought coming into this game the 2 new offensive guards would be challenged by NC State. They were going to make them make tough decisions early in the game, and there were ups and downs for those 2 particular players. But I think with more repetitions, you got 2 great tackles around those guys. I think it's going to be fine, but that was definitely a learning experience and probably a lot of good, bad film for them to look at to learn and get better, because it's going to get a whole lot tougher with that defensive line from Ohio State next week. You better be on task.
Well, and final question before they get ready for Ohio State. A lot of people think they're going to win this game.
Yes.
What do you work on if you're Marcus Freeman, knowing that you have that opponent next week?
Boy, I was thinking today, how much do you play the starters knowing Ohio State comes next week? To me, I want to stay in a pretty good rhythm. So I think if Notre Dame is up comfortably going into the fourth quarter, maybe you start to see the 2s and 3s come in, but I think I keep my foot on the gas
Okay.
through
you keep
3
them in
quarters
the whole
because
time.
I want to keep them feeling really good and rolling going into that game against Ohio State next week.
She's worried about the Aaron Rodgers effect
I
with
am.
Sam Hartman. So
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, but got to play it. It
Gotta
could
play
happen
them.
in practice. That's what I always say. That injury,
Yeah, that's true.
it could
That's a
happen
good
in
point.
practice.
Well, Darin, thank you so much for joining us. It's a lot of fun. You also do a radio show, a pregame show today at 11 a.m., so we'll let you go to that, but you can tune in every day, 9:60 a.m., weekday sports beat, and you can catch me on Tuesdays with him. And if you want to find links to previous shows that we've done, you can go on our website at ABC57.com. All right, well, it is a beautiful day here on campus, a fall day in September in South Bend as the 9th-ranked Irish get ready to host Central Michigan. We'll have a check of that game day forecast coming up.
But first, a reminder, the only place you'll be able to watch today's game is on Peacock, NBC streaming service. It'll not be shown on network TV, so if you don't have Peacock, you'll need to buy a plan through your phone or smart TV. We're going to be right back.
How's this for a pot of gold? A rainbow appeared at the end of practice on Tuesday, and Irish players and coaches couldn't resist posing for a few pics. I actually saw this rainbow as I was walking into the Irish Athletics Center for the players' press conference, and it was just so beautiful and so unique. The colors were so vibrant. Everybody was taking pictures everywhere, and I love that. I thought that was really cool because I had taken a picture and shared it on social media, and then as I'm looking, you see the whole team is like posing and taking pictures with it. It was really neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's going to be any rainbows on campus today, but the Irish hoping to take home gold in a form of a win over Central Michigan today.
Yeah, that's right. And for a check of your game day forecast, let's go live now to ABC 57 meteorologist Dave Caulfield in the tailgate lots outside Notre Dame Stadium. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Allison and Vahid. Yeah, the atmosphere is really great here, and it is a lot cooler than it was the last time Notre Dame was here at Notre Dame Stadium for the Tennessee State game, and that's because the sun is out in spurts, but really not a big part of the forecast today. It's going to be mostly cloudy as we head into the rest of our Saturday. So we see on satellite and radar the clouds are moving in. They'll be here to stay today, but the showers are very slow moving. They are crawling across Illinois right now. I think some members of the Notre Dame offensive linemen could go faster than these showers are moving. So they'll get here well after the game is done, and we'll be in mostly cloudy skies. But don't fret. We might not have a lot of sunshine, but this is nice weather today with temperatures in the mid-70s for highs and really not a lot of a breeze. Last year when we had the cloudy days, we also had the windy days. That is not the forecast this time. So maybe a light jacket over the next hour or so, but by the time we get to game time, it is smooth sailing with temperatures in the 70s. Folks like the Brady family behind me are loving it. They're enjoying their tailgating experience as well. And we'll have much more on the forecast throughout ABC 57 Kickoff. For now, though, for ABC 57 Kickoff, I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield.
And with that 54-yard field goal last week in the NC State win, new Notre Dame kicker Spencer Schrader made history. It wasn't just his first field goal in an Irish uniform, it's also the longest in Notre Dame football history. I got to admit, it's the one thing that I've gotten right in my predictions so far. I said he was going to get his first field goal last week, and he did it, and who knew it would be a history-making long one.
Well, you did an incredible job with the story last week, too, so it kind of flowed together. He's got a leg on him.
And that's a game changer, literally.
100%. We know a couple years ago, Justin Yoon, how much of a difference that made against good teams. And when they play USC and Ohio State and Clemson, you're going to need those field goals from 50, 45 plus.
He narrowly missed a 56-yard field goal in that game. I mean, that's crazy. He had the distance.
He's got a leg for 64.
That's right.
If you're coming to the game today, you may want to come a little early. Construction is still causing a few headaches. What you need to know before you head out the door.
And capturing the magic of game day, one brush stroke at a time. A Notre Dame artist returns to her roots.
Construction, road closures, and detours. You'll have to deal with all three if you're heading to campus today. Take a look at that map. Douglas Road closed from Ironwood to State Road 23, at least through the end of this month. Douglas is one of the main roads used to get to campus, and it'll definitely affect traffic flow. St. Joseph County Police and the university recommend coming to campus a few hours early. Risk getting caught in a traffic jam, just like some of our guests last week.
That's right.
Of course,
one of the best things about being on campus, of course, is the atmosphere.
Right.
Guys like the ND DeLorean and all of the tailgating. One Notre Dame legacy is following her passion and family history to create timeless works of art right here in the tailgates today.
One of my close friends. There's no better place to be on game day than right in the middle of some Irish football tailgates. ABC57's Julianne Grahowski is live in the lot just south of Notre Dame Stadium. Hey, Julianne.
Yes, hello, Allison Vahid. We are here in the middle of the beginnings of today's tailgate. As you can see, we have some action going on here. I am joined by someone you two both know pretty well. This is Kathleen Keifer. She's got some deep roots here at Notre Dame, and right now she is painting this beautiful scene we've got going on. First of all, Kathleen, how are you doing today?
So much fun. I mean, there's no place I'd rather be than Notre Dame Stadium lot before a football game. And we got this blue-gray October sky happening in September. So, no one's getting sunburned today. I'm very happy.
That's something we're both happy about. And speaking of the sky, you just started painting this on. Talk to me a little bit about, obviously we've got a little bit of the beginnings of this painting here, but tell me what this will look like soon.
Okay, so I want to capture the energy of the tailgate scene. And when you do any landscape, you've got to do what's farthest away first. So I'm just going to knock out the sky, and then we can do all the fun thing. You know, people drinking, people cheering for Notre Dame, all of that.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely have some of those in here. Now, how long do you think this is going to take you to paint?
Well, I believe ABC57 wanted me to wrap this up in 2 hours.
Don't give us a deadline. No, take your time. We want this to be as beautiful as possible.
I'll resolve it in 2 hours because I'm thinking about drinking too and partying and celebrating our great team. But I'll finish it in the studio.
Right. Well, you know what? We'll be taking some live looks at this painting throughout the next 2 hours. We're going to see the progress unfold before our eyes. I'm certainly excited to see it all. It looks a little, definitely the beginning stages, but I'm very excited to see what this looks like.
That's the fun part. I mean, it'll really change.
I've seen some of your paintings, and I just know it's going to be beautiful. So we'll be back checking in with Kathleen's piece here. But thank you so much for talking with me today, and we'll be back here on ABC57 Kickoff. Reporting live from the tailgate fields, I'm Julianne Grahowski, ABC57 Kickoff.
Oh, so good to see Kathleen. Of course, her grandfather played for New Rockney.
Love that.
In the 20s, and she's got a new book coming out. We'll check in with her throughout the show. Unbalanced attack. Jared Parker pulled the old switcheroo against NC State.
That's right, and what the Irish had to say about the offensive line shuffle. That leads to an 80-yard touchdown coming up.
On the defensive side of the ball, they're very well experienced, right? They got, I think, 7 guys back that have all played, a lot of meaningful snaps. So we know that's going to be a challenge.
The crowd noise ain't really going to affect us. And, especially once we start ripping off plays, it's going to happen.
Their offense is explosive. Their quarterback makes it go. He is an athletic quarterback, and he can run it. And you can watch the first series of the last game, and he takes the ball 40, 50 yards and scores a touchdown.
I still remember walking up that tunnel there pregame, and they cranked up the Notre Dame fight song in the tunnel, and goosebumps and all those things. I hate to say it, but I might have started singing the fight song, with them.
Not often you hear the visiting team coach say he's singing the Notre Dame fight song, but you got to give it up to Jim McElwain there. Now we are getting ready to take on Central Michigan, the Irish in the house that Rockne built. But Coach Jim McElwain, no stranger. You heard him to Notre Dame Stadium. He actually grew up an Irish fan and won here twice. When he was an assistant at Michigan State, he also lost in 2018 when he was an assistant at Michigan. A little shot there, a little quiet right now outside of Notre Dame Stadium, but don't worry, the tailgate area is rocking.
Listen, it'll get pumping here pretty shortly. And listen, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I'm Vahid Sadarzadeh, by the way.
I'm Allison Hayes.
The Irish are undefeated, will play Central Michigan today. I was a little surprised we had Darin on, and he said they're going to play the starters until the fourth quarter. I'm not sure I would do the same thing, but I fully expect the Irish to handle their business today.
Yeah, for sure. The Irish are expected to get an easy win today over Central. Quarterback Bert Emanuel Jr. is a dual threat and leads the Chippewas in rushing in both games this season. But how will he fare against this Irish defense? The Irish have only allowed, on average, 10 points per game. 4 different players have an interception. 6 others have 10 or more tackles. And the Irish didn't allow a touchdown for the first 9 quarters they've played this season.
Listen, I think the front 4 do have some work. I think the back end of this defense is getting hot at just the right time. Multiple interceptions last week. Look for them to stay hot this week.
The secondary was really finally sort of challenged last week. It didn't get that moment to shine in those first 2 games, but they stepped up last week, and we saw interceptions. DJ Brown, Xavier Watts, and I should expect some more.
Well, Benjamin Morrison has become the heartbeat of that secondary, right? He had a great freshman breakout season, and I fully expect him to have another interception today. We'll get some predictions a little later on, but that back end of the defense is shoring up.
Absolutely.
On the flip side of the ball, offensive coordinator Jared Parker continues to switch things up. One of the biggest plays last week, of course, the hot dog play. Parker moved All-American left tackle Joe Alt to the outside of right tackle Blake Fisher for an unbalanced offensive line, and the result, that play right there. A confused Wolfpack defense, 80-yard run by Audric Estime.
That's just a scary look. I honestly believe we have the best offensive line in the country, and that's led by the 2 best tackle duo. And just to have them on the same side, it just gives me a little rush, and that's just something that I hope we keep on doing.
Notre Dame has been known for their offensive line for years under head coach Brian Kelly, and finally this year I think they're catching their stride again.
One thing that not a lot of people have talked about, too, on that particular play, Jaden Thomas. Now, he was relatively quiet in that game last week, but on that play, you see him downfield with a block on the defender that literally allows Audric to finish out that run and score the touchdown. And I think that's what's so awesome about this wide receiver group this year. It's so loaded. There's so many guys that are trying to spread the ball around. Everyone's getting a catch. But even when Jaden doesn't have an opportunity for a catch, he unselfishly makes a play like that, throwing that block down, and it resulted in a touchdown.
Well, it's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but it is going to show up on the final scoreboard.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, today the Irish will pay tribute to former Notre Dame quarterback and 1947 Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Lujack.
Hey, have you decided on a college yet, Johnny?
There's nothing to decide, Coach. I'm going to Notre Dame. I've decided that a long time ago.
I never had in mind winning the Heisman Trophy. I mean, everything that I did was, Notre Dame and the team. They tell me while I was in the locker room, you won the Heisman Trophy. But I said, well, what do I do now? I mean, do they send it to you or what? He said, no, you have to fly from here to New York. And I said, on a plane?
Wow, how times have certainly changed. Lujack, a two-time All-American. He led the Irish to 3 national championships. He died in July at the age of 98. Today, the Irish will wear a blue and gold shamrock sticker on their helmets with Lujack's number 32.
And maybe we can get another Heisman candidate in honor of Johnny this year. Well, the Irish are heavy favorites today, but where should bettors put their money? We go inside the lines of Notre Dame versus Central Michigan on the other side.
Kaylee Strong. Before the season started, quarterback Sam Hartman and the Irish made meals at Ronald McDonald House Charities of Michiana. There, he met Kaylee, a cancer patient at Beacon Children's Hospital. Kaylee is a huge Notre Dame fan and gave Sam one of her bracelets to wear, and he's been wearing it on the field ever since. When Sam found out that Kaylee was going to be transferred for a bone marrow transplant, he stopped by the hospital to wish her well and learned she is now cancer-free.
One of the great things I love about Sam Hartman is we talked to him in the podcast. He's a normal human being.
Yes.
And he loves to give back to his community, and this is just another example.
Exactly. Well, welcome back to ABC57 Kickoff, live from the campus of Notre Dame as we count you down to today's matchup, the Irish versus Central Michigan.
Undefeated Notre Dame, a heavy favorite today. We've talked about it, over 1-1, a 1-1 MAC team. So where exactly should you put your money?
ABC 57's Levon Whitaker joins us now live outside Notre Dame Stadium to take us inside the lines.
Yeah, guys. Well, listen, I want to start this segment, this right here, about apologizing to our friend Douglas Farmer over at Covers.com, who we spoke to last week when we talked about the NC State spread. It was 7.5, and he told me, hey, Levon, do not parlay anything in this game. Just take the straight bets. Take the over, take the 7.5, whatever you do, don't parlay. Well, I was right about a couple of things. Audric estimated 2 touchdowns, his rushing yards, the spread at 7.5, and the over-under at 49.5. The only thing I was wrong about was Brennan Armstrong rushing yards. I had it at 30. He had 33 until he got sacked in the last drive of the game, and I missed out on $500+. So I want to apologize to Doug Farmer.
Well, Yvonne, yeah, it's the first thing we like. We like never parlaying. Never do it. It's not worth it. You're going to lose out in the long run. I know that $500 payday would have felt so great, but then you would have gone 0-9 the rest of the year, and you still would have lost out in the long run. Never parlay. Never do it. As for this weekend, we're looking at Notre Dame favored by 34.5 or 35, and I think that spread tells us all we really need to know about what this weekend is. Notre Dame should be favored by 40 or 42 points. The 34.5 or 35, that's because Ohio State's next weekend. But what I do like in this thought is Notre Dame to win the first half by 20. You can get the first half spread at just neg 20, and that's saying Notre Dame's going to come out quick, Notre Dame's going to get this done, and then we'll look ahead. Central Michigan has a very, very dynamic dual-threat quarterback in Burt Emanuel Jr. He's going to get in the end zone at least once. This is not going to be an entirely one-sided affair. So that 35 could become 42-10 and you lose. But if that first half is 35-0, you're going to come out ahead.
Now, I did take Doug's advice this week, guys. Don't get me wrong. I took the 18.5. I'm thinking 17.5 for the first half spread for Notre Dame to cover that. No problem. Should be easy peasy, mac and cheesy. I woke up this morning and I said I will not parlay anything, but that was until about 7:30, and I said the heck with it. People have been betting and taking my bets and winning those parlays. I actually met a lady named Jennifer Meyer earlier this week that said, I won $130 on your bets. I've never placed a bet in my life, and I won. She didn't even know who I was before she placed that bet. But listen, I did this because people are winning on my best. I went out and I made this sign, Levon's Parlays, for anybody looking to win some money on this game right here, because, baby, I got a problem. I'm taking a parlay in this matchup. I got Audric estimate for a touchdown. I've got Audric estimate over 102 rushing yards. I've got Notre Dame covering the over-under of 49.5. I got Sam Hartman 225 passing yards, and I've got Jaden Thomas, the wide receiver, with 40-plus receiving yards. Take it, spend it wisely, and follow your boy, okay? I think you're going to win some money today.
Well, listen, I hope you win the money today. I will follow your advice. We need to get you a better sign, though, for next week, all right? That's a deal.
I love that sign. And I love that people are making money off of you. You're not making money off of us, but I like those parlays he's doing. I think they all sound pretty good, so I think he's in good shape this week. Well, we are just a few hours away from kickoff between 9th-ranked Notre Dame and Central Michigan. But while you're getting your tailgate on, it may be nap time for Mike Golic Jr.
I was exhausted walking into the stadium. I did not realize what a difficult job the fans had in the lead up to supporting us at these games.
Junior in a golf cart is next.
Meteorologist Dave Caulfield here with the game day forecast. You know, we've had some peaks of sun so far today, but the clouds have really ruled the day so far. But that is okay for folks that are tailgating because it is really nice out there. People are having a lot of fun. And folks like you see behind me driving in from Maryland this morning to enjoy this really nice weather. So temperatures in the 60s right now, highs in the mid-70s by later on today during the game versus Central Michigan. Should be really nice weather, but not a lot of sunshine. That's all right. It's still great football weather out there with low humidity, low winds, and temperatures in the 70s. Live for ABC57 Kickoff, I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield. Back to you.
The 2023 New Rockne Spirit of Sports Awards will take place Friday at the Morris Inn. Among the honorees, All-American wide receiver and college football Hall of Famer Tom Gatewood, national champion Notre Dame lacrosse coach Kevin Corrigan, and Emmy Award-winning broadcaster Jack Nolan. I will be emceeing the event, and you can get your tickets to the luncheon if you go to our website at abc57.com.
A question here for you. What makes a good tailgate? Is it the food? Is it the drinks? Is it the fun that you eventually have?
If you have good food and good drinks.
That's right.
Well, I think it depends on who you ask, of course, but one thing's for sure, you will not find Mike Golic Jr. partying in the tailgate lots. As ABC 57's Jenna Stepsinski discovered, he no longer can hang out with the big boys.
I didn't get the tailgating experience until after. I don't remember what game it was, but I remember coming back and going, all right, I'm finally going to get a look at the tailgate lots and gaining a newfound level of respect for my classmates and peers that had not only braved the tailgate lots, especially for, let's say, a night game, but also made it in past halftime. I was exhausted walking into the stadium. I did not realize what a difficult job the fans had in the lead up to supporting us at these games. So salute to everybody who is out there in the Joyce Center parking lot, getting after it and getting ready to support the Irish, and then somehow cheering through an entire game. You are endurance athletes.
We are real ones.
Real ones indeed. The one thing I found out about myself after I finished playing is I went right back to being an irrational fan. I am not fun to be around during games. My family can attest to that. And so being on the road calling games puts me in a good space because I'm isolated and I have to watch that by myself, and I can't freak anybody out around me because there'd been a lot of scared dogs over the years in the Golic house having to watch me watch Notre Dame in a nail biter.
Yeah, I just love the Golics. They're so much fun. And Junior, I mean, definitely not tailgating like a champion and not fun to be around apparently on game day either.
I'm shocked. Junior, what's going on, man? I'm like 5 years older than you, and I can hang at the tailgate. Well, just for a little while. We'd love to see your tailgate pictures. Just post them on social media and tag ABC57 Kickoff, and maybe we'll share your picture on TV.
I saw quite a few familiar faces in that story that Jenna just had with a lot of people we know from tailgates, and I even saw myself squeezed in there a little bit.
I think I'm older than 5 years older than he is. I think I'm more than that. So, well, it's time to ask the experts. Who are some of the Central Michigan players who could cause some issues for the Irish today? The Chippewas play-by-play announcer Adam Jaksa coming up.
Two catches at the 15, near side 20, 25, 30 up the middle. There he goes, 35, cuts out left to the 40. Here goes Marion Lutz, far side 40, 30, 20. They won't catch him. Marion Lutz, touchdown, Central Michigan.
Joining us now, Adam Jaksa. You just heard his play-by-play voice, CMU football and basketball. Adam, we just heard your call of the Chips running back Marion Luke scoring his first touchdown on a kickoff return last week. It looks like the Chips are a run-first offense.
Yeah, that's right. The Irish defense has been stout against the run this season, on average allowing less than 100 yards per game. How tough is this Central run game, and how does it match up, do you feel, against the Irish defense?
Yeah, I think part of the difficulties for CMU is they're still trying to figure out their identity. There's a lot of talent, but they're super young. So having to play Michigan State and then having to play an FCS playoff team last week and then having to play an undefeated Notre Dame team today, it's going to be difficult. But there's definitely some good backs. Marion Lukes hasn't been able to get going yet offensively. We saw it in the special teams, but Miles Bailey had his first career 100-yard rushing game last week. And then obviously you've got Bert Emanuel Jr. and Jace Bauer, two dual-threat quarterbacks that both can run and kind of move the pocket a little bit. So I think those are going to be the best assets today for Central Michigan to try and create some big plays against a really good Notre Dame defense.
Let's go to the other side of the ball in the Notre Dame running back room. They've got a stable. They're led by Audric Estime. I'm sure everybody's seen the 80-yard film and the unbalanced line. What does Central Michigan have to offer in the front four that gives you hope, or at least to think that they're going to slow down that running attack?
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not out there. I don't know how you tackle Audric Estime. That's a big dude, and he's got great speed. But the front seven definitely is the strength of this Central Michigan team. Jaksa Bristol has been with this team for 5 years. Big fella right in front. They are going to be without Robbie Stewart, who's their other defensive tackle, so that won't make things easier. But their linebackers are probably the best in the MAC in Justin Whiteside, and then Kyle Moretti is a hard hitter and the captain of the defense. So I think the front seven certainly is what they're going to be relying upon, but obviously Sam Hartman trying to stop his throwing attack, that I think is going to be the toughest part today for CMU's defense.
Now, you're not only the play-by-play voice for the Chippewas, but you're also a Central Michigan graduate. So we know you got your maroon and gold on today, but keeping it real, what has to happen realistically for the Chippewas to have a chance at pulling off an epic upset?
Yeah, I've been here for a couple hours, by the way. I can't believe how nice people are. I was expecting some boos, some thumbs down, nothing like that. Everyone's been great. I think you got to take care of the football. I mean, that's the first thing that has to happen in a game like this, where Notre Dame has never lost to a MAC team, and Central Michigan's never beat a top 10 team. It's a daunting task. So you got to take care of the football, and you got to get out and not make mistakes early, right? Make sure the moment isn't too big. So go down, get some points, and don't let Notre Dame get out to a big league. Take care of the football, get some points, and you see what happens the rest of the way.
With an experienced coach like Jim McElvain, too, I mean, he brings that to Notre Dame. He's been here before. This is nothing new to him. Does that give them confidence as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're used to playing these games, right? I mean, they have to make money for the athletic department. So they're going to Michigan State and Oklahoma State and Penn State and Michigan. I mean, so they've been to these big atmospheres, and they're used to playing it. Now, it doesn't make it any easier when you're playing teams like Notre Dame that are really good, but they're not. It's not out of the ordinary for them to play in front of 75,000, 80,000 people.
You know, I not to put you on the spot or anything, but and I don't know if you would know, but when I was talking to the media relations guy, he said that they did not have a walkthrough planned for Notre Dame Stadium on Friday. Do you know if they ever did it, and why would you not want to have your players do a walkthrough?
Yeah, it's been kind of the, like, don't make it too big, come in and be ready to go, but also, like, don't be afraid of the environment and the atmosphere. They did the same thing for Michigan State, and when they went to Michigan State and won in 91 and 92, Herb Duramity's team, they didn't go down to the stadium beforehand, and so that's the same thing that we did this year. Bus down, day of, played the night game. I think it's the same type of thing, and they also stayed in Michigan City, so that may have been part of the problem. But I think it's do your walkthroughs. Don't be surprised by all the fans and the surroundings and all the allure of Notre Dame Stadium. It's great, and just go out there. The football field is the same size, as you guys know. Go out there and play your best, and we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Call a great game today. Good luck with that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
appreciate
Adam.
you guys having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hartman for Heisman? Oh, yeah, we are already talking about it. The man himself weighs in on all the hype. Next.
It's just been very, very just fun and humbling to be a part of a group of men that come out here every single day and give everything. And if you're not ready to go, you're going to get exposed on the practice field, and it's definitely carried over to the game field.
Fight, 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 fight. Sacrifice, unselfish sacrifice. We're going to get them on a run. We're going to go, go, go. And we aren't going to stop until we go to that goal line. We are Notre Dame.
Dame Stadium.
From the house that Rockne built to the dynasty of Air Parsegian, this is the home of Fighting Irish football.
The place where greatness is earned 1 yard at a time. The field that forged Notre Dame legends like Theismann, Montana, and Brown.
The land of never quit, never surrender. The legacy, the passion, the tradition. That is Notre Dame football.
ABC57 Kickoff is back.
Bigger and better
Than ever. Another season of Fighting Irish football. It all starts here.
This is our house. This is our team.
And this is ABC57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
Can Notre Dame make it a perfect 10-0 today against the Mid-American Conference? The Irish have never lost to a MAC team. This is the first time the Irish are playing the Chippewas on the football field. It's a 2:30 kickoff inside the house that Rockne built. Those fans are ready for this meeting. Let's go. Well, welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff Live from Purcell Pavilion on the campus of Notre Dame. I'm Allison Hayes alongside Vahid Sadrazadeh, and we have some breaking news for you. The starting quarterback for Central Michigan, Bert Emanuel Jr., he will not play in today's game. In fact, he did not even make the trip. He is sick, so the backup quarterback, Jace Bauer, will get the start today for Central Michigan. Also a mobile sort of dual threat quarterback, so it should be similar, but Bert Emanuel Jr., breaking news, he will not play, did not even make the trip.
Boy, what a spot for Jace, though. I mean, you come into Notre Dame Stadium for your first start, presumably your first start in college football. I don't know. You know, that offensive line, he's going to have to take care of the ball, but I give Notre Dame a good chance in this one.
Yeah, they already had a good chance, but those chances got even better. I wonder if that affects the odds. Is it too late to make some changes there?
I don't think so. With the 3 o'clock start and the 2:30 start time. Notre Dame wasn't perfect last week by any means at North Carolina State, but they got the job done.
Yeah, that's right. And quarterback Sam Hartman has 10 touchdown passes through the first 3 games, breaking a Notre Dame program record, and he has yet to throw an interception. That has some people already talking Heisman, you especially. This guy's been talking Heisman before the season even started.
I was on the bandwagon before the season started. ABC 57's Levon Whitaker asked Hartman about all the hype this week and joins us live once again outside Notre Dame Stadium. Levon, we even talked about the odds for Hartman to win the Heisman this year.
Yeah, those odds certainly fluctuating right now, Vahid and Allison. And some people may think that it's a little too early to talk about the Heisman Trophy watch. But listen, if you're going to have that discussion at any point throughout this season, you must include Sam Hartman. So who better than to pose the question to the Irish quarterback himself?
Hartman for Heisman? Just 3 games into the season, the chatter has started among the Notre Dame faithful.
Sam, I know you're the ultimate team guy. I'm going to kind of jump off the cliff here with this one, but the Heisman, conversations that are going around, man. What are your thoughts on that and where you stand in that race right now?
In true Sam Hartman fashion, everyone else comes first.
Up front, our guys are playing really well. The tight ends obviously had a huge day. Audric kind of opened that game up. And outside, receivers made a lot of plays. Shoot, even the scout team guys, GP calling the plays, Gino being there on the sideline. Coach Freeman, give me the opportunity.
He's a person who likes to share success with everyone on the team. He likes to see everyone have success and everyone eat.
I couldn't have said it any better. Hartman certainly has reason to credit those around him. I mean, how else do you become only the 9th FBS quarterback to throw 120 touchdowns and more than 13,000 passing yards, the most of any active QB?
There's no me in all those conversations without up front, on the outsides, right in the trenches.
Now, most of Hartman's success stems from his time at Wake Forest, but it's continued at Notre Dame. He's the first quarterback in Notre Dame history to throw 10 touchdowns in the first 3 games of a season.
He's a competitor.
But not perfect. En route to 4 touchdowns on 286 yards last week in the win over NC State, Hartman fumbled the rock twice.
We obviously can't put the ball on the ground, and Sam knows that.
But like any veteran,
the ability for him to just continuously be steady, right, and be positive and say, Coach, we're good. We'll get it fixed. Trust me, we're going to get it fixed. Go out there and do our job.
In Sam Hartman, the Irish trust. Right now, Hartman is ranked 5th in the country for passing yards per game at 243. And if he continues to rack up the numbers at this pace that he's at right now, he will be in that conversation at the end of the season. And, of course, he will credit everyone else before himself. Even actually credited the nutritionist for Notre Dame football during this week's press conference on Tuesday. So you got to love this guy. Guys, he does not take any of this credit himself.
Well, 25-1 betting odds, Levon. If you take Sam Hartman right now, the odds makers not giving him a great chance. But I'm telling you, put him on the map after Ohio State. He's going to have a big game. And I know he's humble about it. What are the offensive line guys saying? What is Audric Estime saying about his odds?
Listen, they love this guy, and they ultimately think he is the golden standard here at Notre Dame. It's the best quarterback they've had in some time. If Hartman can get these guys to the promised land, he's definitely going to win the Heisman Trophy. There's no doubt about that. Audric Estime, Joe Alt, they love him, can't say enough about him, and the same goes for the coaching staff. And you add Gino Guidugli to that, a guy that's here to tailor him up throughout this season.
Awesome. Thanks, Levon. We'll check in with you again before the show is done at noon. He grew up a Notre Dame fan, but today he's facing off against the Irish.
We've got to prove that we're a tough team, that we're going to fight.
We talk with Central Michigan lineman and Elkhart native Jonathan Decker about what this game means to him and his family. They're all here in full support coming up after the break. The opportunity now to get to play at the University of Notre Dame, and you grew up not far from here, and I hear you might have even grown up a little bit of an Irish fan too. Well, today's game is a homecoming for Central Michigan defensive lineman Jonathan Decker. Decker was All-State first-team All-NIC at Elkhart Central and a member of the final graduating class for the Blue Blazers. I had a chance to talk one-on-one with the 6'5", 300-pound redshirt sophomore about the opportunity to play at Notre Dame Stadium in front of friends and family.
I'm really excited about it because I've been to 1 or 2 games, and I've been to hockey games, basketball games. So I've been around it, but I've never actually played or been on the field. So that's really exciting for me.
Can you imagine what it's going to be like to run out onto that field in front of your friends and family?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And then I know a couple of guys on the team. I played against Chase Ketterer in high school and Justin Fisher. So that'll be kind of cool to see them as well.
Awesome. And what do you think you guys have to do to be able to pull off the upset against the Irish?
I mean, we've got to prove that we're a tough team, that we're going to fight, and we're going to come off the ball and try to just play our game and show that we are the Chippewas and that we're going to show up and we're going to play.
Well, I love that. And just a final one. I mean, you're going up against one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now with Sam Hartman and the run game that the Irish have. How big of a challenge is that offense, and how much does that kind of fire you up as a defensive player to get that opportunity?
It's really exciting to be able to go against that kind of competition, and it has been exciting to just kind of watch film and see what they can do and see what we know we can do. So it'll definitely be a fun game.
Well, Jonathan told me today's game is not just a big deal to him, but to his family. And look who we've got joining us right now. His family, Mom, Amy, Dad, Darin. Welcome to ABC57 Kickoff.
Thank you for having us.
And to start us off, I mean, you didn't come here alone today. Who did you bring with you?
So we have
neighbors, family, friends.
Yes, some from years ago and some new friends, but there's so many who are still coming. We have just so many people are supporting Jonathan and the Chippewas today.
I imagine this has to be a pretty special moment for you all as a family to be local and to have your son at Notre Dame Stadium today.
It is. It's hard to imagine that he would get to play on such a large field, a big stage like this. So we're thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah, Jonathan mentioned how cool it is to be taking the field with not only Chase Ketterer from New Prairie, but also Justin Fisher from Mishawaka. And great to see our local football talent on display here at Notre Dame Stadium. He gives a lot of credit to his Elkhart coaches, Josh Shattuck, and to you, Dad, for his progress throughout the years. When did you first start to see the potential in him that, hey, D1 is really where he belongs?
We had no idea he would end up here, to be honest with you. It's just amazing that he started out, we just coached him from 4th grade up. The kid played anything and everything that the coaches asked him, and here we are. That's about it.
We didn't know until it really, I think the day that the offer came in from Central Michigan, we were sitting in Coach Mack's office, and he gave us an offer, and we kind of looked at each other like, did that just happen? So we didn't.
As a freshman at the high school, he was a wide receiver, tall, skinny, lanky kid, didn't really know what to do, and the next thing you know, he kept getting bigger and bigger, and then they're like going, all right, you're going to be an O-lineman, and he was furious because all of a sudden it was like going, nobody will recruit a lineman. Nobody cares about linemen.
Yeah,
and
he said, no college comes looking for a lineman.
And there you go. Well, I think you might have had an inkling when he was 6'5" and 300 pounds that maybe he could have some potential there. And we're just to wrap us up, he is making that change, a position change. He started out as an O lineman for Central, and right before this season started, they said, "Hey, we need you to move to D line. Are you okay with that?" And Dad, you know him as a player. What's that response?
His response, just like high school, was, "Whatever you need, put me in. I want to play."
Yeah.
Well, I love that. He says, I want to do whatever is best for my team, and he is so excited. So we are excited for you guys, and hopefully he sees the field today and plays well. I don't know if they're getting a W today, but that's okay, right?
It's okay.
And thanks for coming, guys.
Everybody, thank you guys. Have fun today.
Thank you.
Fire up, Chips. All right. Well, we still have much more to come here on ABC57 Kickoff, including linebacker and captain J.D. Bertrand today. An Irish injury report is coming up.
But first, the tailgates are still hopping here at the campus of Notre Dame, and you're taking a live look at pole 19 exactly, where artist and our friend Kathleen Keifer is capturing all of the game day fun. Her painting is being auctioned off for charity. You can see more information on our website at ABC57.com. Stay with us.
You have a plan for halftime where it's going to be 20 minutes and different types of food, but we wanted to kind of get them some meat. When it's 2 hour delay, like those big boys get hungry. But now I think the coaches might have got a little bit more hungry than the players. I saw some coaches having hot dogs.
The Irish were forced to make an emergency concession stand run at NC State, staff buying hot dogs to help fuel up the team during the 2 hour rain delay. Then straight out of the gate, running back Audric Estime, lightning and thunder all in one shot. 80 yards down the field, perhaps the Irish will have a new halftime snack this week. Dome dogs are always good, right?
He said it was tasty, but he had just one, not too heavy, so no big deal.
We had one to start the show, too, and it helped us for sure.
Well, on the mend, Notre Dame captain J.D. Bertrand will not play today. The Irish linebacker left the game last week into the third quarter with a head injury and has been in concussion protocol ever since. Now, Bertrand,
he led Notre Dame in tackles last season, racking up 13 tackles total.
That's right. And running back Devin Ford missed last week, but is expected to be back today. He suffered a concussion in a helmet-to-helmet hit against Tennessee State and has been also in concussion protocol. And, of course, defensive lineman Gabe Rubio still out for another couple of weeks.
Which I don't like going into Ohio State. If he's out for Ohio State, J.D. Bertrand, hopefully he's back for Ohio State. Devin Ford. The Irish need to be healthy here. I mean, that's the number one concern. Irish need to be healthy going into next week.
Yeah, Gabe Rubio having that orthoscopic surgery. So, yes, keep everyone healthy. Hey, I said at the beginning of the show, let's not even play Sam Hartman today. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Let's just let Angeli get the experience.
We got one guy who may have some playing time left. A former Notre Dame quarterback, our good friend Evan Sharpley is here, and he joins us on ABC 57 Kickoff. When we come back, what does he think of Sam Hartman and the Irish? But first, a reminder, the only place you'll be able to watch today's game is on Peacock, NBC's streaming service. It won't be on network TV, so don't look for it there. So if you don't have Peacock, you'll want to buy a plan either through your phone or smart TV. We're going to be right back.
That was some good ASMR on that one.
Picking up Hartman was big.
Go ahead and flex, Kobe.
Just flip a coin and hire one of them.
Did you get the sword of John
we
Adams?
We did get the sword of John Adams, yeah. At like 11 or midnight, we've decided it's never been a bad idea to have an extra pizza in the refrigerator.
But I don't want us to have that bourbon flavor for some of the other earlier beers. So let's start with prom.
You don't want me to be drunk on camera, is that what
But I'm gonna just hold for.
All right,
now.
he's holding his
cards.
cards.
And that isn't to say, hey, I'm just going to say this right now. That doesn't mean that a few weeks down the road I'm going to say that they're going 12-0. I just want to be clear here that it isn't going to be like
the only person drinking the Kool-Aid this year is right here in this back seat right here.
If there's a change, it's like 10-2 from 9-3 to 10-2.
Am I crazy for drinking the Kool-Aid this year though? And the answer to that question is yes, I am crazy for drinking the Kool-Aid, for thinking they're going to go undefeated. That's the Varsity Brews podcast, and if you can't tell, this guy loves to bust my chops on the show, but we have a good time talking college football and craft beer.
We love it. It's awesome.
It's not a bad gig. We went up to northern Michigan
Higgins
last week.
Lake, baby.
Higgins Lake, the sixth most beautiful lake in the world, last week to talk college football on a boat. But in all seriousness, you were a standout all-state football and baseball player at Marshall High School in Michigan. So you know something about this Central Michigan team.
Yeah, actually, I mean, they're one of the schools that recruited me. So, I mean, was born and raised in Marshall, Michigan. So I'm well-versed within the MAC schools. You've got all the directions, north, south, east, west, they're all there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens today. I mean, I think they're a little overmatched. Notre Dame should take care of business, I think, is kind of the general consensus. Sure. But I'm sure for them it's a big deal to be here. And anytime another team comes into South Bend, I mean, it's their Super Bowl for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, and one thing, we had breaking news at the top of this 11 o'clock hour. Their starting quarterback, Burt Emanuel Jr., didn't even make the trip. He's out sick. Yeah. So their backup, Jace Bauer, is going to be getting the start today, his very first start, so that'll be interesting. Now, I've had the honor of being a guest on your podcast, and we've also enjoyed having you on our show here over the years because you keep it real. It's not everything just rah-rah Notre Dame. Of course, we're talking to former Notre Dame quarterback Evan Sharpley. So, but before we get started with the Irish, a lot of people are talking about another quarterback in college football right now, and that is Tyler Buchner, the former Notre Dame QB, transferred to Alabama alongside offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, and it is reported that Buchner will be getting that start today for the Tide. What are your thoughts on that combination?
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. And actually, 2 weeks ago, I was in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama football game, and I did catch a little bit of flack because I wore an Alabama jersey.
Crop top.
I mean, listen, it was a vintage 90s starter jersey. I was just trying to be a college football fan and have fun. Sure. And, and watching that game, obviously they took care of business against Middle Tennessee State. Milroe had a great game. Jalen Milroe had a great game, but it wasn't against a great team. And there were some things I saw, at least from his pocket presence, the way he passed the football, that I knew there were probably going to be some issues the following week when they played Texas. And prior to that game, obviously then when that game, the way it played out, it happened pretty much exactly like I thought. Now, right now on this roster, and there's a reason why Tyler Buchner left, right? They've got a great quarterback in Sam Hartman. I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall. This Alabama situation right now is they don't have a true passing quarterback on the roster, okay? They've got a few guys right now that can hurt you with their legs, but the big question mark is going to be, can they consistently pass the football down the field? And I think if you're an Irish fan, you saw Tyler Buchner and what he brought to the table at the quarterback position, that was the question mark as well. So I don't know. I don't know if it's a marriage made in heaven. I really think that this Alabama offense is going to continue to struggle because they really don't have that identity. Teams are going to load the box, try to take away the run, and they're going to force, Milroe, or if it's Buchner, they're going to have to be able to pass the football down the field.
Well, can I say we have the better quarterback in Sam Hartman at Notre Dame? Listen, you taught quarterbacks, you still teach the mechanics of being a quarterback. What kind of mechanics does Sam Hartman have and contain that gives you, hope that he can lead Notre Dame to a national championship?
Well, first off, I mean, the veteran maturity. I mean, he's 26 years old. I mean, he's getting closer to 30 than he is 20 at this point. It's very interesting when you have that type of dynamic. When you have 5 or 6 years under your belt at the quarterback position in college, it's unbelievably crucial for a team. So, he's able to step in as a leader immediately. You look at his career stats. I mean, just the numbers speak for themselves. This isn't a new guy to the position. So, what he brings to this offense is really a steady voice. Nothing's going to surprise him. As far as the mechanics side, I mean, he's very comfortable in the pocket. They have a great offensive line, and clearly, when they're able to run the football, it's going to set up play action pass too. But with that depth of knowledge, you're not going to see a lot of breakdowns in protection because he's going to get the offensive line into the correct protection. And if we go to the Alabama side, it just didn't look like Jalen Miller was working through his progressions. Different story with Sam Hartman, right? He's not locking on one guy. If that guy's not open, he's going to the next guy. So footwork is very good, and he's just a smooth passer. He throws a great ball. There aren't any glaring mechanical issues. So I think right now with what they have, obviously this week you got to take care of business. You can't be looking ahead to the next week. It's stay healthy, get through this week, and then I think we're going to learn a lot about this team next week as well.
Well, I'd like to continue talking to you. So how about you stick around, and we'll bring you back at the end of the show.
I love it. Let's do it. For
awesome.
Sure.
Looking forward to it. All right, you're watching ABC 57 Kickoff. Evan Sharpley joining us here live. We're going to be right back.
Irish passed their first test of the season.
When things get really, really tough and you're just looking at the finish line minutes, that's where you see guys, tap out.
How can they avoid a letdown? Freeman's focus for Central Michigan. Plus, they've got the moves on the football field. But how about skills in the kitchen?
It's a lot of fun, and like I said to my parents whenever I do it, and I feel so cool.
How the Irish are fueling the fight.
With the same rich tradition of the Irish.
Wake up the echoes cheering your name.
Send the volley cheer on high.
Shake down the thunder from the sky.
What though the odds be great or small?
Old Notre Dame will win overall.
While her loyal sons and daughters
march on to victory. It's Tim Brown, Heisman Trophy winner, and you're watching ABC 57 Kickoff.
You're watching ABC 57 Kickoff, presented by Afdent Dental, live from the campus of Notre Dame, with your hosts, Allison Hayes and Vahid Sadrazadeh.
Fighting Irish fans are fired up as Notre Dame gets ready to face off against Central Michigan today. The Irish have outscored their opponents 143-30 through the first 3 games. That's the highest point total since 1943 when Coach Frank Leahy won his first national champion. Look at those guys. They're you're on TV.
Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff, live from the campus of Notre Dame with Allison Hayes, of course. I'm Vahid Sadrazadeh. What do you like better celebration-wise from last week? The hot dog and the 80-yard touchdown, or the Sherwood hanging up the phone?
Do I have to pick? I
No,
mean, I like
you
it all.
don't.
I'd like to see some more of the hang-ups this week, this game. I think they'll have a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely they will. Hollywood endings are often just reserved for the movies.
That's right. But what happened last week on a rainy September Saturday in Raleigh could be the beginning of a fairy tale finish for the Irish.
In this week's Freeman's Focus, the Irish faced their first test of the season and passed when the going got tough. It's time to grab your popcorn. The drama is only just beginning.
Once upon a time, we all believed the script was only written for Rudy. Enter one of South Bend's leading men, and its on-set director, with movie star looks.
The Hollywood story out there that, Audric had a hot dog and went out and ran a 70-yard touchdown trust me, that sounds a lot better.
A-list actors, villains, and an Oscar-winning plot.
But the reality is that we did have a good plan for that postponement.
The reality is that often those flicks that win Film of the Year, the hero or heroine, overcomes great adversity.
I was so pleased with the way our team, our program, the support staff really managed the circumstances.
If this Notre Dame team is writing that award-winning championship script, then we all learned the guts of Freeman's game.
I was proud of the way our guys truly handled some resiliency, but then they came back and really shut the door in the fourth quarter, saying this is going to be who we are.
The game is being suspended. Apparently Lightning now within that 8-mile radius.
The Irish were in the stadium for almost 7 hours Saturday.
Weather delay just seconds into the second quarter.
A game that included a 2-hour weather delay, rain, a wet field, and only a 15-minute halftime.
Audric estimates going to go the distance.
They still found a way to put up more than 40 points on the road.
You always try to put your players in difficult situations and see how they respond. When things get really, really tough and you're just looking at the finish line, man, that's where you see guys, tap out, or guys that say, man, it's too difficult. But if you just stay in the moment, I think that's where you'll see a resilient bunch of guys.
Buckle up and grab your popcorn. The plot is about to thicken. The opponents are about to get tougher, and the adversity they'll face will be deafening.
We get 12 guaranteed opportunities, so we're down to 9. And for us to overlook any opponent would be just crazy.
Beat Central Michigan, and that Hollywood ending every Irish fan dreams of stays alive. Who's the wild man now? My favorite line in Rudy.
You've been dying to say that.
Absolutely.
Whole show.
The Irish are 30-plus point favorites today, and maybe even more now that the starting quarterback is out for the Chippewas. We always say you can't look ahead. I believe you're going to get a heavy dose of the running backs and Audric estimate today against the Chippewas.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This running back room is just loaded, full stable, and yeah, absolutely. Take advantage, run those guys, and let them get that experience out there today.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Well, there has been a noticeable size difference in several players on Notre Dame's roster this season. According to Brian Driscoll with Irish Breakdown, 35 players gained at least 4 pounds of muscle this offseason. Now, the biggest gains came from the big guys. Offensive lineman Charles Jaksa and defensive end Armel Mukam both gained a whopping 30 pounds. Now, defensive tackle Tyson Ford tops the list for biggest loss, dropping 18 pounds this offseason. Now, while weight training has always been a focus, head coach Marcus Freeman has put a big emphasis on nutrition that goes beyond just the food the guys eat.
Really, not just food, but in terms of hydration and the entire package of nutrition. And her and Catherine, her assistant, has really just maximized to me the results that you can have with a great nutrition program.
The Notre Dame Sports Nutrition Program is run by Alexa Appleman, a former college soccer player and trained chef who's worked with programs at the University of South Carolina and Ole Miss. Alexa has brought her love of food, sports, and science to the Irish.
I just loved food so much. It's just such a language that everybody speaks.
The program is broken down into 5 components, including meal coordination, nutrition for health, performance, and return to play.
Say if someone has an ACL injury they're coming back from, what would maybe be different in their diet or in their routine that would vary from if they were healthy?
So since it is a longer recovery process, looking at that 9 to 12 months of not playing football and slowly progressing back into the process of being fully activated on the field. Unfortunately, when you don't use your muscle as much, right, we start to atrophy and we'll lose some of that mass. So we work with them on strategies to maintain that lean mass and rebuilding it and rebuilding it healthy.
It's a collaborative effort. Alexa and her team meet regularly with the head of sports psychology, athletic trainers, the strength and conditioning coach, the team doctor, and head coach Marcus Freeman to come up with individual plans for each player.
I think her biggest thing is just her ability to kind of understand what we need and what everybody's kind of different in a way. You know, you can sometimes get, you know, lost in 140 guys of, you know, this is what we're eating and this is what we're doing. And she's just great at, you know, being flexible and understanding that each guy's got their own nutritional values, nutritional needs, from like the little smoothies machines to the smoothies for individual people, for the weight gainers, for the like guys who need to lose weight. All that encompassing just seems like it's like a clockwork with her and her staff.
Every position group has different needs. Wide receivers average 3,500 to 4,500 calories per day, while linemen average 55 to 6,500 calories per day. Defensive tackle Howard Cross III gained 8 pounds of muscle on the program.
I had a weight gain issue where I just couldn't gain any weight at all for reasons I still don't really know, but I finally figured out how to gain weight, and it was really simple. It was like chocolate milk or something stupid like that. But that only came from just me like talking to her and be like, all right, like, maybe you should try this. This stuff has been working. Maybe you should try this.
The fifth and final component to the nutrition plan, life skills. Alexa and her team teach the players how to plan and prepare their own meals, and the reaction has been awesome.
They were completely shocked. They were like, oh my God, we can learn how to cook. Like, we didn't know that. You can teach us how to do that. And the guys have been loving it. Just getting in the kitchen, being with their teammates, competing with their teammates to see who can cook the best, like fish or chicken or side dishes, and who create a different flavor profiles. It's so fun. Like, they have engaged really well in that space, and they're really taking it into their own homes and apartments, and, you know, cooking with each other on the weekends. So it's just really building a good sense of community and team bonding.
Oh, I go to all of them. I love doing that. It's a lot of fun, and like I said to my parents whenever I do it. So, and I feel so cool after I make some like crazy meal, like stir fry or something like that. So, like some curry dish I can't even think about right now, but and we like flipping the pans and stuff with like the rice in it. It was really cool.
I actually went to everyone in the winter, and it was great. You not only did you get a free meal, but you also learned how to, you know, cook different dishes and stuff. So I really appreciate her for that. That was awesome. One day we made tacos, but we made this guacamole. I'm a real big guacamole fan.
Bon appetit. I love it. And they also are big dessert fans. She said it's not just a diet. There's no such thing as dieting. They're not restricting. If you got a craving, she wants to honor that. So desserts are always on the menu, but it's always about portion control and moderation.
And hot dogs at halftime. And
Right.
whatever Audric Estime is doing, it's working.
It's working.
Absolutely. Well, a return to her roots. We check back in live with Notre Dame artist Kathleen Keifer, who's bringing the Irish game day experience to look. She's almost done. It looks
Beautiful.
spectacular. We'll check in with her next.
That's right. And former Notre Dame and NFL wide receiver Derrick Mayes, the Super Bowl champ. He joins us live next. Oh, we've got some shy ones here today. Little Levi, his buddy, my son, Rocky. He's going to go to his very first Notre Dame football game today. And Levi, they're tailgating out in the lots, but they got shy. So that's all right. Go Irish anyways, right?
Welcome back to ABC 57 Kickoff. We've got a special one here with us right now, Alice.
Yeah, absolutely. NFL Super Bowl champion, former Notre Dame wide receiver Derrick Mayes. I'm going to take folks back a little bit. We're going to go through some of these stats as a reminder of just how good you were. From 1992 to 1995, Mayes finished his career with 2,512 receiving yards and 22 touchdowns, and held the all-time touchdown receptions record until Jeff Samardzija surpassed that in 2006. A second-round draft pick by the Green Bay Packers, 145 career receptions for 1,823 receiving yards and 18 touchdowns, becoming a world champ in Super Bowl 31. Derrick Mayes, welcome to ABC 57 Kickoff. We got to do a Zoom, I think, during the COVID season, so it's really great to have you join us live.
It is. Thank you for having me, Allison. It's always a pleasure to be back here on campus. I will say we got to put an asterisk to those stats. I got a chance to stump Jack Swarbrick yesterday at practice. I told him that it was about 15 years ago they started counting bowl statistics for the career stats. And I told Jack, I said, listen, Jack, I don't know if you know this, but my poor quarterback, Ron Paulus, he's got at least 4 or 5 bowl touchdown passes that don't go on his career stats.
Okay.
And the first thing Jack said was, how many of those touchdowns was yours? I said, don't worry about me, Jack. It's not about me. It's about my team.
But exactly, it was how many? No.
Yeah, technically, Jeff and I, we're still at the top all time if you count my bowl stats the way they count all the young kids' bowl stats.
Well, breaking news. That's interesting,
that's
actually.
A fun fact.
Yeah, good to know that.
Well, and speaking of your teammates, Rick Meyer and, of course, Ron Paulus, you caught passes from 2 of the best to ever do it here at Notre Dame. Now, let's throw
I'm not going to let you miss Kevin McDougal, the year we should have won the national championship.
In 93.
That's right. And that's the one quarterback who took us to a national championship, the closest we ever got. So we got to make sure we give Kevin McDougal his flowers.
All due respect.
That's right.
Sam Hartman, seeing him this year, how do you think he stacks up with your quarterbacks?
Well, I think Hartman has a unique ability to lead. I mean, he's an established leader. I've gotten a chance to get to know him. He came out to Los Angeles over the spring with a handful of his teammates doing some programming out there for the university, and he's a coach on the field. And I think, that was the one difference that both Rick, Ron, and even Kevin, we all had to learn together at the same time versus Sam coming in, and he knows what is expected of him as a quarterback, and therefore he knows how to be able to take that and translate it to the players, a lot of young players, and him being the older statesman. So I think that veteran type of leadership is the one thing that he has that none of my quarterbacks was able to really establish, real time.
Well, of course, this Notre Dame wide receiver core is just absolutely loaded. And this year, 16 different players have caught a pass from Sam Hartman or Angeli. Not all of them, of course, receivers. It's been mixed around between the tight ends and some running backs. But when you've got that much talent, how do you keep guys happy and keep them involved?
Yeah, great question. I think, Allison, this is still a merit-based sport, right? And so, competition is a big thing, and we encourage all the wide receivers to embrace the competition. You got young guys that are coming in as freshmen to remind me of myself that, really don't want to wait their turn. I think that's a healthy competition for the older guys. And so for the older guys who are there and maybe got some initial success, now it's their opportunity to take another step up. And so I think competition still sharpens steel. And in that wide receiver room, we got a good collection of steel in there.
What did you see out of this team so far that maybe reminds you of that 93 team? Can you make any comparisons?
Well, I was at practice on Thursday, and the culture, I think, resembles that 93 team from the coaching staff all the way down. When you see how tight-knit the coaches are, from the coordinators and how they communicate and interact with all the other staff members, it's just a direct reflection of Coach Marcus. And so there's a real youthful, exuberance in the locker room, and that takes me back, and it reminds me of the 93 year.
A real buy-in. We have to wrap it up with you, but I want to show this picture because you were here yesterday. I'm texting him. I'm like, hey, do you mentor any of the guys? Do you have a chance to talk with anybody at practice? And you're like, actually, I'm talking to Tobias Merriweather right now at practice. Yeah. And you sent me a picture of you guys together, and just that mentorship, I have to imagine he needs that right now. He's one of those guys trying to find his way.
Yeah, that's right. And they all do at some point, in their career. So, Deion Colsey is another one. He's a little bit older and great house. He's another one. They all have a need, and I try to take a little bit of time with each and every one of them just to spend with them and engage and have a touch point, because you never know, the message that you're sending, you never know when it's going to click in a player, and it might have to come from someone outside the coaching staff, and so that's what I'm just honored to be a part of.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely love having you here.
Always is.
Have fun.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go Irish.
You.
Go
Irish.
Sign some more autographs. People are lined up for this guy.
We'll be right back.
Well, the game day experience through the eyes of an artist. All morning long, Notre Dame alum Kathleen Keifer has been painting the magic of Irish game days.
Let's check back in with ABC 57's Julian Grahowski live at the tailgate lots, checking in with the final product there.
Allison, Vahid, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We're checking in with our tailgate artist here, Kathleen Keifer, and just take a look at this beautiful painting. It looked very different about an hour and a half ago, and it's hard to believe you did all of this. Just walk me through, the details of this painting. We've even got the people down here, all the tailgate little tents. Just walk us through this.
We've got the Stay Puft Marshmallow guy right there.
Oh, of course. We have to recognize that.
I mean, I'm not trying to capture every detail, but I'm trying to capture the energy and the fun because it's so much fun. And, how many people stop by and say hello? What a blast. Yeah. What a blast.
You've had so many people walk by, and they're all just so entranced with this painting like I have. Nice. And really quick, I want to talk about your book, The Gold Standard. Earlier, you were kind of flipping me through the pages. There's a lot to see in here if you maybe want to grab it for a second. Okay. Oh, no, her hands are all painty.
The story of my first little trip to Notre Dame when I was 8 years old in 1971. And it starts...
Here, I'll help you a little bit.
It starts at exit 77. And, I'm sort of obsessed with painting Notre Dame now. It's so beautiful, and it's so much a part of my biography. My grandfather's class of 28. He played football for Rockney. And my father was class of 55.
Yeah, you have very deep roots here, and it shows. There's so much versatility here in these paintings, and they're all so beautiful.
I love Notre Dame.
We love Notre Dame. Now, you said this is kind of the final project. You're going to add a little bit of touches later.
Well, I've got a studio, an innovation lab, and I have an art show at Embassy Suites, and I'll probably finish it up at one of those two places, Just, right. Just a little bit of details, a little bit of maybe put some stars on those flags, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure excited to see the final product. Thank you again, Kathleen, for joining us and showing us this beautiful art. Reporting live from the tailgates, Julian Grahowski, ABC 57 Kickoff.
All right, go Irish.
Go Irish.
My longest run last week was 50, so I was like, let's add 10 on that, and we added 30.
Hope that gets you ready for today's game. The Irish more than 30-point favorites. The over-under is 50.5. Let's go to our predictions.
Yeah, we know it's going to be a blowout in theory, right? So we wanted to have some fun with some prop bets. First one, how many different players are going to score touchdowns today? I've got 5, but I also think that Audric Estime is going to have 2 by himself.
I've got 5 as well, so we're thinking the same way.
Yeah, I think I'm rolling with 7 is what I said, so I'm going to roll with that one. Right. That explains my parlay.
Everybody's 5, you're 7. Your parlays are coming through.
All right, well, how about the first turnover of this game? What type of turnover is it, and who gets it?
Man, I don't know who, but I'm going to go with an interception. I think with the backup quarterback for Central Michigan, I think there's a good chance that's going to happen.
I think you went Xavier Watts.
Xavier Watts, all right.
And who do you got?
I'm going to take Miris Leofau. He's been running around like a madman. He's going to get the fumble. I think he's finally going to get a fumble recovery today.
Benjamin Morrison, pick 6. Let's go.
And how about that final score prediction? What do we have?
I've got 48-9, so I'm taking the over.
9?
Yeah, 48-9.
3 field goals?
Yes.
I'm going 55-13 Notre Dame. Central Michigan gets 2 field goals. Now that the quarterback's out, I don't know if they get a touchdown now.
I am running 100% with my initial prediction. 55, I like that number. 8-0. No points for the Central Michigan team. A new quarterback making his first start at Notre Dame Stadium. I don't like their chances to score.
Yeah, we should mention one more time the breaking news is that the original starting quarterback, Bert Emanuel Jr., he didn't even make the trip here today. He's back in Central Michigan, Mount Pleasant, sick. It's going to be the backup, Jace Bauer, making the start today, so that could definitely make things even more difficult for Central.
How hard is that for the opposing quarterback making his first start at Notre Dame Stadium?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to get acclimated early, so I bet they'll incorporate him into the game plan right away. And once you get hit, it's like playing football, but still, it's a big game, so there's going to be some nerves.
One thing that we wanted to ask you about earlier in the show was, looking big picture of this team, the big three on the schedule. How do you feel like Notre Dame now, as we're 4 games in, is going to finish out against Ohio State, against Clemson, against USC?
Well, I mean, I feel a lot better now than I did prior to the season. There were a lot of question marks, new quarterbacks, some guys had to step up offensively. Maybe still some questions on the defensive side, and we'll see in those games. But you watch those teams play so far this year, there's some opportunities, I think, that if Notre Dame, you only have to be better than that team on that one day. So I think for Irish fans and for myself, I don't know if I'm going to change my picks yet, but I think we're feeling a whole lot better about how those games look.
Absolutely. All
right. Levon's parlays, too.
Levon's parlay.
Did you do
Clock
it again?
in, baby. I already placed mine. We ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and watching ABC 57 Kickoff. Levon Whitaker, Evan Sharpley, Vahid Sadrazadi, and Allison Hayes. Thanks for watching. Go Irish.